Hello, my name's Jade and today I'm going to be doing the Unpopular Opinions book tag. This one's a really old book tag. I actually kind of forgot about it, but then I saw it pop up in my feed the other day and I thought, I want to do that. To be honest, I can't tell if I'm the best person to do it because I don't think I have a lot of unpopular opinions. I kind of challenged myself with this in a way. To be fair, it might also just be that I don't fully understand what's popular and what's not, and I'm in my own little bubble over here. That could have something to do with it. Without further ado, the questions. Question number one, a popular book or series that you didn't like. And there must be many, there must be several, but I can never think of anything. Now, a popular book that was really popular, had loads of hype, loads of people loved it, and I was like, yeah, it's alright. I have a lot of them. Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Everyone was obsessed with Piranesi, and Piranesi was really good, but I don't quite understand quite the magnitude of hype that it got. Similarly, Circe by Madeline Miller. Everyone adores Circe, and it was good. But I don't get it. I don't get why it's so hyped. To me, the Song of Achilles is like god tier, and Circe would just never, it just doesn't live up. It doesn't live up. I liked both of those books, so I don't think they actually count. They're not doing what this question sets out to do. So the book I'm actually gonna go with is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. My mic was not on. I apologize. Back to Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I don't know quite how popular this one is. I feel like Jennifer Saint in general was just quite popular for like her Greek myth retellings. I've read all of them except for Hera, her latest. I don't think Jennifer Saint is my favourite Greek myth retelling writer, but she's very popular. And Ariadne in particular, I enjoyed it for the most part. I didn't hate it. I had some like irksums with it, but the story was kind of like, it was entertaining. I was having a fine time. But then there was a couple of choices that she made that really made me angry. I really did not agree with those choices. I'll link to the video where I discuss it below if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts about why I didn't like it. I think mainly it's the fact that we're following two main protagonists, and yet she's trying so hard to make Ariadne the main protagonist, and I don't know why it can't just be like a 50-50 split. It means that our second protagonist, whose name I can't even remember off the top of my head, Ariadne's sister, she really gets portrayed in a really harsh light, I thought, and I just did not think that was fair. Question number two, a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate, but you love. Again, the books that are coming to mind are books that like got mixed reviews, but I liked. I have two that are like of that kind of caliber that I'm not really sure if they count, but I'm gonna say so. The first one is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I feel like this got really mixed reviews. I feel like I read a lot of negative reviews on Goodreads. A lot of people were really unsure because it's very slow, not a lot happens. But I had a blast. I really enjoyed this. This has really like marked an impression on me. Of all the books I've read this year, this one was like, it's really stayed with me, and I'm so excited for the second book in this series. I just think the world is so interesting, and while it's slow, I feel like, and having read like Cassandra Clare books way back when, she's really good at like the puzzles and the slow building up of things, and I feel like there's a lot of pieces that are set ready to come up again later on. We're like building towards something here slowly but surely, and I can only hope that the payoff is going to be amazing. And then the other one I have is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Again, I feel like I saw quite a lot of negative reviews around Iron Flame. Like, Iron Flame turned a lot of people off the Fourth Ring series in general. A friend of mine really struggled with it, and I was like, I can't blame you, because I've heard this a lot. A lot of people just found it really slow and hard to get through, and I did find it harder to get through than I found Fourth Wing, but I still had fun. I like, there were a couple of reviews that did make me think, like, were we reading the same book though? I don't understand. I had a blast. I don't think it was as good as Fourth Wing, but still really enjoyed it. I'm still really looking forward to book 3. I didn't have these huge problems that everyone else had. I still thought it was like a thrilling ride. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is a book that everyone loved and I didn't like. It's not that I disliked it, it's just I was really disappointed by it, and I've not heard many other people say the same thing. So does that count? I mean, I also just feel like I don't like the ACOTAR series as much as most people. Like, the ACOTAR series is most people's favourite of Sarah's. And mine's Throne of Glass, and then Crescent City, and then ACOTAR. I love the ACOTAR characters, but those plots just, they're not my fave. Okay, question number 3. A love triangle where the main character ended up with the person you did not want them to, or an OTP you didn't like. I just remembered another answer I could give for this one. If we want to do like a love triangle where the person ended up with the wrong person, here's the thing, I didn't care that much. I always knew who our lead was going to end up with in this instance. Is her name Alina? Lena? What's her name? Alina. I just don't understand why she chose him when there's someone so much better right there. I mean, it's okay because that better person does end up in their own relationship later on down the line, and I think that was a much more interesting, better relationship anyway. I don't understand her logic. For an OTP that I don't like, and it's not that I don't dislike this OTP, I don't quite get it. Dorian and Manon from Throne of Glass. No, I feel like this is an unpopular opinion. I feel like people love Dorian and Manon. Here's the thing, I love Dorian and I love Manon. I just don't see it. I think part of the problem is we don't see a lot of like them one-on-one time. Like, we see little tidbits, but they don't really know each other that well, so I don't feel the chemistry. I also think a lot of Dorian's feelings towards Manon because he's like in this darker, edgier place towards the end of the series. Like, especially I really remember in Kingdom of Ashen being like, Dorian, what's happened to you? You were such a cute little puppy and now you're so like edgy and broody all the time. I don't know if he's gonna be able to bring her back to the light, or if she's just gonna bring him down further into darkness. I really hope we get a spin-off series of Throne of Glass series with Dorian and Manon. I feel like we have to. I feel like Sarah's like teased it, like that we've not fully finished with the Throne of Glass series, and if we're gonna return to anyone, surely it's Dorian and Manon. Like, their story's not done. Manon still has ways to go. Number 4, a popular book genre that you hardly reach for. I will literally read anything. I'm open to all genres. Like, I don't tend to read horror very often, but I'm willing to try more horror. I just think of the horror I've read, not a lot of it loves me. I do tend to prefer like the Ian Reid, I'm thinking of ending things, like that kind of more thrillery horror, like psychological horror. I think that might be more my speed, so I want to read more Ian Reid and try more stuff in that vein. But having said that, I do have a little horror section on my shelf. Do you know what section I don't have on my shelf? Sci-fi. I'm a huge like fantasy lover. Like, I should in theory love sci-fi, and I tell you what, I can count on 2 hands the number of sci-fi books I read, and I can also count on 2 hands the number of sci-fi books that I have absolutely adored. See, I've yet to think of a sci-fi book I read that I didn't really enjoy or really love or have a lot of like good things to say about. I just can't think of any. And I can't even find them on my shelf. I don't know why I don't read it very often. I really truly don't. I need to read it more. Question number 5, a popular or beloved character that you do not like. The first one that came to mind was Xaden from Fourth Wing, but again, here's the thing, it's not that I dislike Xaden by any means, it's just that I don't think I'm obsessed with him as a lot of people are. Like, I still prefer other like very popular book boyfriends that we have going around. Oh, you know who we could mention as well here? Again, this is a little bit spicy, but Rhysand. I loved Rhysand in the original trilogy. Don't get it twisted. But I feel like that feels like so long ago in my brain, and what's more recent is this, and what was he doing? What was he thinking? He just revealed a really ugly side to himself in this one. Bonus chapter with Azriel, the way he treated him then. And like, the more I think about it, the more I think about how like his best friends are like his second and third in command, and he's technically their leader, so he can just boss them around as he wants, but he's also like their brother and best. That makes me uncomfy. I don't like that situation. And I'm like, keep thinking back to like how Rhysand treated Nesta, and I'm like, how did Cassian just put up with, like, how does Cassian, like, how does that work? I can't remember. It's been too long since I read this one. But it doesn't feel like it's a comfy situation. And when you compare Rhysand to Cassian and Azriel, is there competition? I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm just so jaded after this one. But I really, when I think of him now, it's not fondly. Question number 6. A popular author that you can't seem to get into. For this one, I'm going to go with Grady Hendrix. I've read 2 Grady Hendrix. What? I've read 2 Grady Hendrix books. I read My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I've read, the Haunted IKEA one. Horror Store. Both of them were just kind of okay. One thing is that his books are really just like, they're not even crass, they're just gross. And there's a particular scene in My Best Friend's Exorcism I really didn't like it. It really gave me the ick. That's fine, like, I guess it works with the genre. Like, that is definitely a personal preference thing. I found myself bored from, like, the second half of both of those. Horror Story was really strong in the first half. I thought it was really funny. It was an interesting concept. I got bored. The second half I didn't care as much. And then My Best Friend's Exorcism, like, we all knew what was going on there. So I didn't see why I should care. Like, it took so long for anything to happen. And I've wanted to read more Grady Hendrix because his synopsises, his, like, premises are so fun and interesting. But I haven't been able to bring myself to do it because I didn't like those two enough, and I just have a feeling I'm not gonna like it. Number 7, a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing. Examples: Lost Princess, Corrupt Ruler, Love Triangles, etc. I have not prepared an answer for this one. I really like a love triangle. I know that one's unpopular. I know it's unrealistic, but I love a love triangle. I love when people are in love with each other and they don't know what to do about it. Another really popular one is, like, miscommunication. But again, I feel like that one is realistic. I feel like that happens all the time, and I know it's frustrating to read about, but it's real life. One that's coming to mind right now is the whole prophecy thing that you often get in fantasy. I recently read a book, and I think Swordcatcher, we kind of have it a little bit as well, and I'm trying to think back to other ones. But when there's this prophecy, you know that prophecy is gonna come true. Like, they wouldn't include it if it's not. Maybe, like, I'm thinking, like, of reading YA back in the day. Maybe an adult, it's less common for the prophecies to come true and it gives you more leeway, but it's kind of like a mild spoiler for what's gonna happen. And I know, like, in a way that has its own pros, because then you're, like, worried about it and stressed about it and you're trying to figure out how it's gonna happen, and then it gives room for the author to catch you off guard, and it builds, like, a sense of anxiety because you really want to avoid this thing. It is kind of, like, in its on itself something that you're working towards, but it's a mild spoiler and I don't want to be spoiled. Question number 8, a popular series that you have no interest in reading. The first one that came to mind is A Song of Ice and Fire by J.R.R. Martin. A really big reason for this is the fact that it's an unfinished series. I think we're on this, like, the second to last book. I listened to the Books Unbound podcast and they've been talking about it recently a lot because Raylene's now caught up to date with the series, and the fact that we just don't know when/if it will end gives me major anxiety. Like, absolutely not. And it's a shame because I feel like I've heard nothing but good things about this series. I haven't watched the show either, so I feel like I'm in a really new position where I could read the books before watching the show. I want to read more fantasy in general. I think it would be a good one for me to read. I think also the hype from the show has died down a lot now, so I'm not even that interested in watching the show anymore. I just don't see myself getting to it. And maybe one day in the far future, if the series is definitely finished and I have more time on my hands, I don't know. But it's just, it's a big commitment and it doesn't feel rewarding enough to me. And number 9, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie, but what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? I don't have an answer prepared for this one either. It's rare. It's really, I think it can happen, but I think it's rare that this happens. The one that I wanted to say was Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. I liked the book, I didn't love it, and I do think the film did a lot really well. Up until a point, I was much preferring it. They changed the end, and I think that the way they changed the end changes, like, the meaning of the film / book. Like, I think it is one of those where the end really defines it. I didn't know that until I watched the film and they changed the ending. I was like, oh, but then it doesn't quite mean the same thing now. And I preferred the ending in the book, but other than that, I think the film was a smoother watch. I think this one just takes way too long to get going. It cut a lot of the beginning out of the film, and the pacing was just better. I can't really remember the book very well, but I remember the film very well, so maybe that's saying something. That was the unpopular opinion tag. I don't know, let me know how unpopular my opinions really are. Do you have any unpopular opinions? I'd love to hear about them. This is my last video in front of these shelves in this house, in this setup. I'm moving soon, and so I'm gonna have a new shelf setup, and I'm so scared. So I wanted to film one last video with them in all their glory. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening / night. My name's Jade. I hope I see you again next time. Goodbye!